Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it? You already know. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye up. Bye up. You already know what it is, man. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I'm kicking. And thank you so much. I'm very humbled. Channel's back popping. So, I get asked a lot of questions and I got a lot of answers. At the same time, there's certain things I won't speak on. And that's just the way it's going to be. I think when you've been in prison, you have to hold yourself to some type of standards. There's certain things that you should and shouldn't say. And a question was asked, who's the most vicious and violent group or car on a prison yard? Well, that kind of depends on the yard, right? Every yard is different. Every yard, it all goes by numbers. Those who have the more soldados, those who have the most soldiers, the biggest car, probably are going to be the winners at the end of the day. But there are no winners and losers in prison. There's just losers. And I don't mean the mentality, the losing mentality. I mean, everybody is losing something, okay? You're losing your freedom. You're losing your time with your family. You're losing your grip on reality. You're becoming desensitized to things that are happening in prison. And you're losing your focus. The best way to not lose your focus while in prison is to maintain and worry about yourself and those around you, your closest camaradas. If you're too busy worried about everyone else and in everybody's mix and worried about what's going on behind the scenes on the yard, you're going to get canceled real quick. It's going to be cancel Christmas time. It's going to be high top time. Cancel Christmas. That's just how it is. So I was asked, who's the most vicious group? And like I said, it depends. But I can tell you who's one of the most dangerous groups that I've seen with my own eyes, actual and factual. And that has to be the skinheads, the whites, right? Woods and skins, but more so the skinheads more than anything. Not only do they come with their political views and their agendas, but they're pretty much against everybody. Now, they will do willings and dealings in business with people, but I'm going to tell you guys a story right now how doing business with the skins just didn't work out for these guys, right? So the other car is comprised of Usos, Polynesians, shout out to my Uso brothers, Asians, and every once in a while, you'll have someone from, I remember this guy that got hit, he was from Iran, okay? He was an older gentleman, not really older, but it was about in his 50s or 60s. He was from Iran, the country of Iran, right? Now, anyone that knows the word Aryan is derived from Iran, right? From Iran. That's the history on it. That's where the word Aryan comes from. That is utilized by the Caucasian people, the white man, to push his agenda. He's from the Aryan race, but it's derived from Iran. So this guy, he was Iranian. He ran with the others. Okay. Like I said, he was non-affiliated, wasn't involved in the gang, just happened to get caught up in California in the prison system. And so he was doing a little bit of time. He didn't have bad charges, no funny cases, no weirdo shit like that. But he decided that if for no other reason, and he was accepted into the other car. That's just how it worked out. He was there on that yard prior to me ever getting there. So whatever he had worked out and whatever was going on was going on. He had been already in that prison yard for over 20 years. So he was kind of an OG, had been around. One of them dudes, he worked the package line. He had the good job. He was marinating in prison, just doing his time, not trying to bother anyone. But you never know how yards flip and how things change. And certain individuals get shoe kickouts and they come from different prisons and they act a certain way. Now, one thing about the California system is money is the bottom line. Everybody's trying to make bread. Everyone's trying to make feria. And if you can knock, a CEO, or if you got a free staff, or you got it going on from Visita, or however you're bringing whatever you're bringing in, I'm not going to give you guys the details on how they do that. That just is what it is. Then you pretty much are the man on that yard, or your carro is pretty much doing their thing, right? Now, that comes with a lot of envy and a lot of haters. I've seen so many people get fucking kited out of fucking institutions, kited off prison yards, kites dropped on them, get told on because they were doing big things and someone either couldn't pay or someone was just jealous. When you have two different factions that really got it going on, it's not like you get at the other faction and be like, hey, you guys got this side of the yard, you could only slang to that side of the yard, and we got this side of the yard. It doesn't work out like that. If everybody knows not necessarily who's bringing it in, but that when it hits, that's one thing about a prison yard. When it hits, when dope hits on that yard, the yard is wild. It's party time, right? Everyone loves to get high. Why do they get high so much in prison? They're trying to forget the outside world. They're trying to enjoy themselves. They're trying to enjoy the festivities. It's boring in prison. So people are going to do whatever they can do to inebriate themselves, to take their minds off their fucking chaos, their worries, the chaos that's going on around them. That's just part of prison, man. Prison, money, drugs, all that runs hand in hand, especially in the California system, right? And I'm sure it's like that in every other system. So there was a CO. He had got to this prison and he had come from another prison, and he was known in that other prison to be someone who would run shit in. Okay, there was whispers about him. And that's the cool part about it. If the inmates, if the prisoners, the convicts are on the yard talking about it, you would think that the COs would hear a whisper, or one of these snitches or rats would tell them, and they would know what's up and they'd be watching them. But this guy had been getting away with it for a long time. You know, he had a system worked out where all he had to do was bring it in, and it was what it was. However he did it. But he only worked with certain individuals in certain cars, and there was reasonings behind that. Okay, there was a reason behind that. And to be totally honest with you, I've chopped it up with them, and he was like, I just don't trust this group or that group because they got a lot of people that tell within that car or whatever. That was straight up out of his mouth. So anyways, the building that he worked had it going on. He actually worked in a gym. He worked in a gym facility, on the facility. And so that was a dorm setting. So that gym was off the hook. I remember, man, we'd smoke all day, every day. It was like a cookie shop in that motherfucker, right? Anything you wanted, you can get brought in. You just had to have the money. You got to pay to play, period. In life, doesn't matter where you're at, whether it's prison or the streets. If you ain't got it, you're not going to get it. Just give me. You give me, you got me, right? That's it. So anyways, this guy from Iran, in the other car, was bringing in a gang of dope. Okay, he had some hookup, and you would think this little old man that looks like he couldn't harm a fly, man, who was a dangerous, murderous individual, was in there for several murders, right, was doing life without the possibility. You would think, or he wasn't doing it without the possibility, but he was doing life. You wouldn't think that he'd be the dope man on the yard, but it's the people that's the quietest in the room, the people you least suspect. You know, America, cocaine is your cup of coffee, right? So that's just how it was. It was someone that was flying under the radar. He was the man. So anyways, this guy was doing a lot of business with the Skins on this particular yard. Now, the Skins had good numbers on this yard. And, you know, in most places you go, other than Susanville, which is considered the White House, Susie's house, the White House, gang of skinheads, probably more skinheads than I've ever seen in my life on that one yard. They weren't as deep. The woods would usually be the deeper of the white men. And then, of course, you'd have the skinheads, and there'd be maybe 10 of them, 6, 7, 8 of them. And they ran hand in hand with the woods. And so they weren't as boisterous or as political as you would think. I mean, they still were with the business, and everyone knew what the skinheads pushed, their movement. But they weren't out there treacherous and banging some shit. Now, one thing about the white car, and I'll tell you right now, facts. The white man will lay demos down. Okay? They're one of the most dangerous and vicious and violent groups. I know you've seen the movie Shot Caller. And remember that pegada that they did, that stabbing in the cell? More than likely when it comes to the whites on the yard, they won't go in your cell unless they're coming out with your head. Okay? They like to do things in front of everybody to lay a demo down. See, prison, most cars, most ranflas, every group, north, south, blacks, whites, they want to lay a demo down so everybody knows, damn, don't fuck with them guys. They're violent and they're vicious. And that's one thing the whites are. They make superb weaponry. They make great knives and they use them, right? You don't want to be on the wrong side of a white man because, brother, they're going to take every bit of coffee you have, right? And especially the Skins. The Skins are very political. And when they lay a demo down, it's violent. It's violent. It's fast. It's very bloody, right? So this guy from Iran was doing a lot of business with the Skins, okay? They felt, I guess, because he was European, I guess, or Middle Eastern, that, you know, they could do good business with them. And I guess for years it had been going on. But a skinhead gets to the yard that he sees this guy as less than, thinks that he could punk this old man, thinks that he's going to get over on him, and kind of pull some shenanigans, man, and burns him. Okay, burns him. This is the one thing you can't do in prison, is burn someone. Because you're putting them in a position where they have to react. Okay, you have to react to certain things. You can't get disrespected, and burning someone is the ultimate. Little side note, I'm going to tell you a little story about burning people, right? True story. I'm not scared to talk about taking L's. So I was in a gym in a different prison, And I did a lot of gym living. I liked being in the gym. A lot of people like doing cell living. We'll get back to the Iran guy right now because he's about to get murdered. But I like, or damn near, I like to do time in dorms and never hit a level 2. I was on level 3 yards. And so they have gym living, right? Because you can wiggle a little bit. It's like a little bit more freedom. Get you a few homeboys, work out, do your thing. You know, a lot of people like cell living. And cell living is cool too. But at the end of the day, it feels more locked down to me than it does in a gym where you can move around or a dorm setting. So it is what it is. That's my preference, right? Not that I like smelling people's farts like Wes Watson. It's just what it is. So anyways, there was a guy that did a tattoo on me. This tattoo right here. See all the sunburn and shit? He did this tattoo right here. Some cultura work. The statues. So when he did the work, he was a non-affiliated Mexicano from up north. You know, he ran with Northerners and was loyal. You know, he would participate, but he wasn't really from a barrio. He was like what you would consider a resident from up north. There are no residents up north, but he was just a cool dude that kicked it with the homies, but it really wasn't like that, okay? And so this was a 50-50 yard, so he was non-active like that. He just kicked it with the Northerners. And there was a lot of tattooing going on in the gym, and he had decent work, not the best, but I wanted to get my shoulder done. You know, I still haven't got the back arm. I was trying to bring my tattoos together, my sleeves. And so I was like, hey, bro, how much for this and that? And we worked it out. He said $25. I said, all right, cool. I got you on Cantina, right? Which was no problem because at that time I had a chick, so my money wasn't funny. I was getting money periodically, but I had it. I already had it on my books, and I had some more feria coming. So commissary hit on a Tuesday. I think I was I was first draw, right? And so I went to Cantina, spent my money that I had, but the chick had told me, hey, on Friday, I'm going to send you some more bread. So you would get a paper that said, all right, the bread hit your books. And so I'd be cool for the next time. And it was all good. So I was like, look, bro, don't trip. One of the homeboys is going to give me a little something to give to you. And then when I go next draw, but it was going to work it out. So he was cool. So he did the tattoo. So the chick never sent me the money, right? My intentions wasn't to burn this guy. It's the last thing I would think to do. I don't burn people. That wasn't my intentions, but I just didn't have it. So of course I got at one of my homeboys who was in that prison, who was a lifer. And I was like, hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? Bless me with a little something. So he was like, hey, bro, I'm at a canteen too. I'll give you like $10 worth of cosmetics. But this guy had given me a list. He wanted certain food items, right? So anyways, I brought him what I brought him. I was like, and then the way he acted, like he kind of acted like he wasn't happy with the situation, and he caught me in a bad mood. So I was like, hey, bro, how about this? Take what you take, bro, or you're burnt. Man, when I turned to the side, this motherfucker knocked me out of my motherfucking boot heels. Boom! That's when I knew right there, Gunner, you done fucked up. The last thing you do is tell someone they're burnt or even insinuate that or do that, right? That was my bad. I deserved what I got. I got up. We took a fucking one-on-one fade right there in the aisleway, and I fucking put fucking hands on him, right? But I ain't gonna lie, my tooth was loose than a motherfucker, right? I had to go get that one filled in just to hold it in. And end up paying him his money, and it all worked out, and that was that. So anyways, was I upset? I wanted to stab the dog shit out of him, but of course I didn't have a piece at that time, so we just took the fade. So now let's fast forward to this guy from Iran. So he's bringing in a lot of shit, and he's doing wheelies and dealings with these skinheads, and this guy decides he's gonna burn this dude. He feels like this old man doesn't pose a threat, but he's from the other car. Okay, so he has backup. You can't burn someone from a carro, because now that involves that whole car. That's their business. That's their money. It's not just dealing with this one guy. But these guys were going to do what they did. So this guy from Iran, he gets that dude. Dude tells him, hey, basically, you're going to have to wait, bro, till the money hits. And it is what it is. There's nothing you can do to force the hand. If a motherfucker's not threatened by you, he's not threatened by you, right? So you're going to get it when you got it. And one thing about the skinheads is they're very violent. And this dude knew that. He'd been down a long time. And so he decided, that he was going to chalk it up, I guess. And he got at some of his USO partners, and they said, we'll get at the whites. We'll deal with it. So they had their little discussions. The white guys told him, hey, this guy brought some dope. It was no good. It was bunk. He ain't got nothing coming, right? They told him, hey, you got to break him off or something. They worked out a deals. The USOs don't play either. They're the nicest people on earth, but they'll fucking choke you to death, right? So the skinheads was like, look, we're going to give you guys a little something, but that guy's nobody. You know what I mean? We're going to take all his clientele like pockets. And this guy's happy with what he got. Kind of chalks it up. He's older in the game. And continues to will and deal with the skins, right? So now they decide they were going to take this fool's whole clavo. They were going to fucking run up on his bunk, fucking choke him out a little bit, put a knife to his neck and take his whole clavo, right? They didn't give a fuck if the others were tripping or not. These skinheads, like I said, once something's in their mind, they're going to do what they do. So they run up on old boy and they basically tell him, hey, if you tell these Usos or you fucking tell anyone. So for a while, they were punking this guy. They were taking his shit. Happens. People get robbed on the yard. You wouldn't even know it, right? Basically extorting this guy, strong-arming him. Straight real robbery in prison. I've seen some crazy shit in prison. I've seen people get robbed. I've seen a gun one time. I seen some shit, right? So anyways, after a while, this guy gets fed up. They're taking all his clavo. His people start to notice something ain't right. These skinheads, they're out there slanging. I mean, they're doing their thing, right? And they got a couple Woods SBing on this guy, posted up watching this old man because they don't trust him. They know he's a dangerous individual himself. This guy decides to make a piece. He's going to take that skinhead out, right? But these Woods see him making the piece. Instead of getting a piece from the yard that's already made or having someone forward it to him from the buildings, he decides he's going to fashion up a piece. Now, maybe that was a PC move. There was other ways he could have went. He could have got a piece, like I said, from the Usos have their thing. Everyone has weaponry, right? He could have dug something up from the yard or whatever. However it got put, you know what I mean? He could have just did his thing. But I think he wanted to be seen for whatever reason. Mistake. It was at that moment he knew he fucked up, brother, right? Because these skinheads slaughtered that guy. They cut him up into ribbons, right? They did something so vicious to that old man. And I remember the Usos rushed and it was a little lightweight melee, but not before they got to that old man. Now that old man lived, but what they did to him was the demo. That was probably one of the most vicious and violent acts I've seen. Now, I've told you other ones that have happened, but with the whites, it just hits different with the skinheads, right? And another group, I mean, every group is with the program, with the business. Every group, you know, but the skinheads, just the way they look, the viciousness, the look in their eye, the blank look in their eye. Now, I've talked about the blank look in someone's eye. And you only understand it if you're dealing with a true-to-life, real certified stepper, lefty, a real gang member, someone who really has no hope, living in desolation, living in fucking a life of a path of destruction. These guys have a blank Michael Myers look on their face and they don't give a fuck, right? That's when you know it's a true hitter. You could see the look in his eyes. It's the I don't give a fuck attitude. I've seen it. Skinheads all have that look. You know, they're bred a different way. They're indoctrinated and educated a different way. You know, they have hatred towards other ethnicities. You know, they will do business with other ethnicities. Don't get it twisted. But there's a lot of rules and regulations they have to abide by because there's a lot of things that they believe. It's their program, their politics, their standards, and they hold themselves accountable. Skins ain't no joke. So they're probably the most vicious group. Now, the Woods, don't get it fucked up. And it always tripped me out because I got a lot of Wood homeboys. Lot, right? I'm going to tell you guys a story later on about Superwood, right? In Merced, we had a lot of a mixture of everything. Asians, whites, blacks, and of course, Chicanos, Mexicanos were the dominant group, you know, on the streets. But there was a lot of whites. And these white men were with the program. They fucked with a lot of Northerners heavy, real tough, the long way. No drizzy, right? No diddy. But when you got locked up, we understood that some of your friends that you were in county with or that you knew, they had to go their own separate ways. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's part of life, part of prison. You will politic with your own people. And, a lot of these dudes used to listen to Mac Dre, X-Rated, kick back, eat fucking tacos. Some of them have black baby mamas and Mexican baby mamas and all that, right? But they get locked up and now they have to abide by the rules and regulations of their people. Now, skinheads trip off dudes. And here's another little lightweight story. So this one Wood, he was from Merced County. He gets locked up. He wasn't literally from Merced, but he was from the county. And this is only a secondhand story because I wasn't there, but this is a story that is true. He gets to a yard, man. He gets to a yard called Centinela. And when he got to Centinela, he was there and there was some skinheads there. And they found out that he was with the black chick. He had a black baby's mama, so he had a mixed daughter. And even though you would think like, hey, that was his business, he wasn't political like that. He wasn't in. Well, he started to get involved in the skinhead movement. And when they found out that he had a black baby's mama that he was still in communication with, and that he had a black kid, someone seen him at visiting and all that, man, they fucked his ass off. They ran up in his cell and gave him the business. They laid the demo down. Like I said, man, they have certain things that they do, and it was cold, man. I remember hearing about it, like, damn, that was a cool dude right there. I knew his chick, the black chick. I was like, that was cold, and I remember they, you know, it just is what it is. And then she was like, I remember she asked my homegirl that they were good friends, like, why would they do my old man like that? And he said, because of you. You know, he chose to involve himself in something to be somebody. He was clout chasing in prison. He wanted to be part of a group that he knew he wasn't cut for. Skinheads are different. Anyways, to me, they're the most violent, vicious group I've ever seen. Southsiders are violent. Northerners, of course, are the most militant. When I say militant, there's a difference between militant and violence. Militant is very structured. They have a solid program. Okay? Everybody has a program that they abide by, politics that they run by. The North Daniels probably had the most militant program, the most structured. That's why you see so many dropouts from the North. It's hard to be a North Daniel. It's very hard. It's also hard to be a Southsider. You know, there's a lot of inner turmoil and hating that goes on, you know, within. So, you know, every car has their pros and cons. And I'm not here to glorify prison and say it's cool. But people think it is. And I'm here to tell you it isn't. Okay? You can get stabbed just like that. So, yes, man, for the guy that asked me the question, who's the most violent I've ever seen? The Skinheads, man. They'll hit you and they're not going to hit you in the cuts or in the blinds. They're going to do it in front of everyone and kick the head off the tier. They don't give a shit. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive to struggle, the struggle to strive. Again, I tell these stories not to glorify prison, but to tell you the actual facts of what happens. Things that I've witnessed and seen in front of my own eyes. You know, I seen dudes get butchered and I was just like, oh shit. I seen dudes running towards me with knives and I had to jump up real quick, only for them to get down on their own homeboy and try to take his head off right in front of me. So close that I could smell the blood. True stories. Been involved in pegadas. Been stabbed. So I know how it feels. And how it feels to have the knife and to fucking get hit by the knife. It's not a good feeling either way. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Make sure you stay tapped in right here to Gunners Collective TV. We're going to get it back popping. Share it, like it, subscribe it. I appreciate you. And don't forget about the Collective Clips, Super North Daniel. Woo, it's popping over there, man. I got a lot of content for you. I got a whole lot of content. Shout outs, respects to all the content creators that work hard every day, and respects to the ones that don't like me. Thank you. Bang, bang.